and you're thinking you're utilizing that for infinite banking, what you're doing is you're taking on risk in the vehicle where, if you do, I promise you everything's going to blow up on you. Like it's just a matter of time before it does, and I don't care what Doug Andrew tells you. It doesn't work that way.
Understand it, smash yourself in the head with it, do whatever you have to do to be on the right side of the understanding of opportunity cost, because it's happening in your life. And if you're not aware of what it looks, acts, and smells like, you are missing out.
All of a sudden 100 grand turns into 20, 30 grand really quickly, and you lost 70% of your money, but you had to make those decisions to survive. And that's why what I call the pendulum overcorrection happens. Maybe the economy belongs in the middle, but because you were over here and things started to swing, but your bad decisions and your bad financial design and structure in your personal life forced you over into this world where you lost a great percentage of your wealth simply based on your behavior.
So any advisor that's out there that's doing that for you, or if you are an advisor and you're comparing the rate of return in a whole life insurance product to anything else, and you're saying that you're practicing infinite banking, you're not. Just so you know.
Hey, what's going on, cash flow hackers? It is Chris and Cole with Life 180, and today we are going to be talking about why infinite banking is potentially the worst investment you could ever make. Now, that probably is confusing a lot of you coming from this channel. So I'm going to let Cole start this conversation off because it's going to be fun.
Oh yeah, this is going to be fun. So infinite banking, yeah, and you heard it right out of Mr. Life 180, Mr. Cash Flow Hacking himself, Chris Kirkpatrick. You heard it first. I put him up to it. Infinite banking is the worst investment you'll ever make. It took me about all of 8 seconds to convince him. So okay, let's unpack it. Very simply put, the reason that we're doing this video and we created this title is there is massive opportunity cost, and if you don't understand what opportunity cost, Google it, read an economics textbook, understand it, smash yourself in the head with it, do whatever you have to do to be on the right side of the understanding of opportunity cost, because it's happening in your life. And if you're not aware of what it looks, acts, and smells like, you are missing out on opportunity, and the cost of that opportunity is the money that you're missing out on. Looking at whole life insurance or infinite banking as an investment is a definition of opportunity cost. Mm-hmm. I would say that infinite banking gets altogether too often compared to other investments. We get into IRR, we get into external rates of return, actual rates of return, internal rates of return. When you're comparing these rates of return, especially up against software illustrations that are being designed by people that like to run universal life insurance, the whole thing gets skewed, and you can't compare apples and oranges. Yeah. People say this because they're both fruit, but they're nothing like each other at all. Totally. Whole life insurance is a financial product, much like any investment product is, but they're nothing like each other. Here's the opportunity cost piece. If you're putting your money into a whole life insurance contract, you have an obligation, and you are guilty of opportunity cost if you're not leveraging the money out of there through an and asset strategy. And again, this is a definition of cash flow hacking, and moving that money into a cash flow investment, an investment that will create more return, more IRR, more actual rate of return, external rate of return, any type of leverage strategy. That's ultimately the definition of why infinite banking is a terrible investment, because it's not an investment. It's a warehouse of capital. It's something that you prime to be able to then use for the actual investment of your choice. And it can be whatever the heck you want. How did I do in that? Right. Are you going to keep me around for a little while?
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So at the end of the day, infinite banking is really just a system, right? In which you make your decisions through that system. I always talk to people about, and I've done tons of videos on index universal life versus whole life and all that stuff. And, it really, a lot of people will sit here and try to tell people that you can use index universal life as a better vehicle for infinite banking, and nothing could be further from the truth. Because the idea of infinite banking is you need a guaranteed product. You need that financial fortress, as I call it, that can be there as the foundation of your life, that is built on granite, that's bedrock, that cannot fall apart. Whereas we say infinite banking is a horrible investment. It's a great savings alternative. And it's the nuanced difference between those two is just a function of risk. So like when you're saving, it's guaranteed, it's going to grow. You have liquidity, you can control that money, you can have access to it. You're going to have to take risks to get where you want to go, but that risk should never be inside of an insurance policy. So when you leverage an index universal life policy, and you're thinking you're utilizing that for infinite banking, what you're doing is you're taking on risk in the vehicle where, if you do, I promise you everything's going to blow up on you. Like it's just a matter of time before it does, and I don't care what Doug Andrew tells you, it doesn't work that way. That's, I have no problem calling people out. So like that's a big thing is like infinite banking. Like let's take a step back. Infinite banking is not an investment. Infinite banking is a system. It's a savings mechanism, right? It's a philosophy. It's a way that, when we're talking about you're saving your money up, right? And you're looking for opportunities. It is an opportunity fund, right? Like that is what Warren Buffett says all the time is like, you got to make money when there's blood in the streets. And we have to, this is the hardest thing I think for people to wrap their heads around, when they get into this is to realize that the market is cyclical. It's not linear. It doesn't just, so many people were trained, from a very young age when we talk about investing that, it's this buy and hold, accumulate kind of mindset. And that's what's kind of got this financial system busted. It's why people are failing is because people have bought into it and the system is failing them. And we've been told, hey, the S&P 500 since 1925 is going to average 8.3% and blah, 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 blah. Like, so yes, the market's going to go up, it's going to go down, but if you just buy and hold 8.3%, and they love to show you these great linear 8.3% compound growth curves, but it doesn't work that way, if you really want to get to where you want to go, you have to understand that you can't just try to keep up with the Joneses and chase that return. You have to keep your money safe, liquid, accessible, controllable, and you have to wait for the downward cycles. I'm not saying you have to time the market because that can be really hard to do on its own as well. But if you implement principles where you're saving first, building the financial foundation of your life so your foundation is built on stone and you can't lose it, that allows you to make better economic decisions in your life, better investment decisions. It allows you to take on more risk. And that way, when you do have downward cycles, you're not necessarily, let me put it to you this way. There's nothing wrong if, in the Life 180 pyramid that I do a talk, and the idea is you got to have that foundation built. And then on top of that foundation of safe, liquid, accessible, guaranteed money, now you can start taking on some medium risk, right? And investments. And that's where, the function of medium risk is really just the time horizon in which you need to access that capital, right? Because the worst thing that you can do, and this is where every American and Canadian that struggles with money, this is what happens to them, is they make bad decisions about how they save. They think they're saving, but they're really investing. And what happens is when things go bad, they have to liquidate negatively performing assets. They have to liquidate and pay penalty and taxes and all these different things on these negatively performing assets, which just compounds the problem. And so that takes, if you had $100,000 saved and then you lost 30 or 40% of that value, and now you got to pay taxes and penalty, all of a sudden 100 grand turns into 20, 30 grand really quickly, and you lost 70% of your money, but you had to make those decisions to survive. And that's why what I call the pendulum overcorrection happens. Maybe the economy belongs in the middle, but because you were over here and things started to swing, but your bad decisions and your bad financial design and structure in your personal life forced you over into this world where you lost a great percentage of your wealth simply based on your behavior and design. And I can't, that's so hard for people to wrap their head around that is just the reality and the math behind all this stuff. And that the easy way to solve this is to get out of your mind of thinking about how do I invest better and thinking about how do I save better? How do I create a better banking function and system in my life so I can make better decisions and be better prepared to weather more challenging storms, not only weather them, but be prepared to thrive through them and not be scared about them, but seek opportunity in them.
I want to point out there's one investment that you can make that's worse than infinite banking or whole life insurance. And the title of this video was Why Infinite Banking is the World's Worst Investment. There's actually one that's worse. The investment that's worse than infinite banking or whole life insurance is the one that you're not making out of or leveraged from infinite banking or whole life insurance. Because what I just did there is, again, I just broke down and defined opportunity cost for you. Yeah. It's so crazy when you really think about these, and anyone that knows anything about infinite banking will say the same thing. And part of the problem is that advisors that don't know what they're talking about will illustrate it as an investment, and they'll compare it, option A, option B. So any advisor that's out there that's doing that for you, or if you are an advisor and you're comparing the rate of return in a whole life insurance product to anything else, and you're saying that you're practicing infinite banking, you're not. Just so you know. The other component, of this is that when you start to look at these investments that aren't investments down the road, you start to look at them over like 20 years or 30 years. And then you start to compare what the internal rate of return is compared to, say, a 401k or a mutual fund or a stock. And it's still understanding that it's not investment. When you start to see the effect of what compound interest does in your life over time, consistently, then you could probably start to have the conversation, if you like, about internal rate of return or actual rate of return. Because it gets to the point where some of these policies are 10xing, they're 5xing. You're sometimes making premium payments of $10,000, say, after 20 or 30 years. In some cases, you're able to take out 3, 4, 5 times that same year, right?
Totally.
But we're still not considering that investment. This is still your banking system. This is still a warehouse of capital. This is still not an actual investment.
Because it's not an investment. Like, no matter what, investments have nothing to do with rate of return, right? The conversation around investment versus saving has nothing to do with rate of return. I mean, we can have that conversation because usually there's return associated with it, but it's a function of risk. That's all it is. Like, it's a function of risk. And I'm never going to tell you that you're going to be able to get where you want to go without taking on risk, and I agree. One of the worst investment you can make is into an infinite banking policy or a properly designed whole life policy, and just let it sit there because it's just going to be a savings account. That's not an investment at all. Yeah. So if you go into it with an expectation that that's going to be an investment, that it's going to be a horrible investment. It's going to be a great savings account, but it's going to be a horrible investment. The opportunity behind that, if you let it sit there and you don't, like, there's a thing called the velocity of money, right? And we need to make sure that as we save money, we're saving with the mindset of investing, and we're saving trying to get our money in movement into the economy, right? And the thing is like what you talked about with opportunity costs is having that money just sit there and not moving. There's a ton of opportunity costs associated with that. Now, we have to be looking for the right opportunities. We have to be opportunistic. There's that old like adage or quote or whatever, like luck favors the prepared, right? Mm-hmm. And people ask me all the time, like, Chris, how the heck do you get all these opportunities, investment opportunities, business opportunities, and all these things? How do things just kind of always present themselves to you?
You do get a lot.
Because I'm always ready. I get that. I get that all the time. Like, people kind of call me Midas because they're like, dude, everything you touch like somehow turns to gold and does but and how is it? Is because I'm ready. You know what I mean? If you open your energy up to the world for this stuff, and you're always looking for opportunities, and you set yourself up ready to take advantage of them, like that's where results come from. You know what I mean? Like that's how you create a life that is extraordinary and different and unique and free. Like I haven't worked for somebody like I mean, I had, I guess, a 5-year stint with National Life Group where it was what it was. But like outside of that, man, I've worked for myself since I was 24. You know, and you know, my wife and I, because of this strategy, quite frankly, because of like implementing this in our lives. I mean, we've had, as an entrepreneur, I've had a lot of ups and a lot of downs. You know what I mean? Like anybody else that's an entrepreneur that's built businesses and had success and failures and so on and so forth. And, you know, I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke at anybody and tell everybody it's been just this awesome linear curve upward for me. It hasn't. It hasn't. However, the one thing that I know that my wife and I were able to do, and it was simply because of this system, is we're able to live a life as a couple and as a family that most people only dream about because we do it intentionally. Because every decision that we make we have the ability to make that decision around saying, is it going to lead to an increase in lifestyle and freedom for us and our family and our desires and what we want to create and how we want to show up in the world? And if the answer is no, we don't have to do it. And I'm not blowing smoke at anybody. It's only because this bad investment of infinite banking is in our life, and it's like that concept plays into everything. That's the only reason.
That's so true. I'm going to make this one last comment, then I'm going to throw it to Chris to wrap this video up. I make investments. I own 11 whole life insurance policies. I don't consider one of them an investment. I do like to invest into digital assets. This is kind of widely known. Digital assets, when I say the word Bitcoin or Ethereum, people like to say, especially you financial advisors out there, oh no, it's too volatile, too risky. Think about my investments. Chris talked about risk. We talked about a hedge.
Yep.
My whole life insurance policies are a warehouse of my capital, B, they're a leverage strategy, and C, they're a hedge, aka risk reduction. So we get that digital assets like to do this. Okay, but if you think about it, is my risk, because I'm leveraging a whole life insurance policy to buy my Bitcoin or my Ethereum, is my risk going down, understanding that we know the life insurance contract is only going to do this, and in the face of this, I have this. What I'm doing is I'm making the highs higher and the lows higher. I'm smoothing out this. And I'm not guilty of opportunity cost because I'm around and I'm in the market of an asset that may change the world. Whole life insurance is an asset. It's already changed the world. It's just most of you don't know about it. Do you know who knows about it? Ultra high net worth people, high net worth people, and people today that are Googling and watching this channel. Now you know about it. Now that you know about it, you can't unsee and you can't forget what we've already talked about. And this will linger with you. It'll pick away at you. It'll annoy you. It's a scratch. It's an itch that you're going to have to scratch eventually one day.
Take the red pill.
Yeah, exactly.
Take the red pill, enter the matrix.
Over to you, brother.
And no, that's awesome, man. I love it. So guys, I hope you found value in this. Like this is a, we've done a lot of videos, and I have over the years talking about this kind of concept as infinite banking is not an investment. It's a savings alternative and like whatever. But like, I can't impress enough how important it is, and I would just ask if you understand that the banking concept here will help you show up more powerfully in your life, can help you create the life that you love, can help you live more intentionally and show up more powerfully for your family, for your community, for your business, for your, like, whatever it is that you're looking to accomplish. I believe so emphatically that this system as the foundation of your life will help you get better results in your life. So if we stop, I talk a lot with Caleb about this on videos in the past from Better Wealth. If we get out of the ROR conversation as rate of return and start thinking about return on result, that's what matters the most. Let's get out of the conversation of thinking about like, what's the rate of return, and think about like, what is the result that we're looking for in our life, and how do we go out and create a system in our life to get that result, because that's all that matters, period, right? And so if you understand that this banking concept can help you get there, smash that like button, get this video out there to people because people need to see it. If you haven't already, I don't know what you're doing, but you need to subscribe and hit that bell. That way you get notified because, like, come on, man. We're like no other channel is doing this stuff right now for you, and we're gonna just keep bringing it. So anyway, that's it. If you haven't checked out the playlist already, we've got some awesome infinite banking educational playlists that you can check out at the end here. Keep the journey going. If you want to talk to somebody, whether you're looking at implementing this strategy in your personal life or whether you're an agent looking for help to build your business, to communicate better with your clients and take advantage of tools, we're doing some really unique things. We got all the life tech tools. We've got cash flow hacking coming out in the book and the challenge and like all these things that are going to be just like this is going to take the industry by storm with what we're doing. Cole and I are ramping up for this because it's exciting, and that's it, man. So anyway, that is it for now. I hope you go out there, have a blessed, inspirational day, and we'll see you on the next video. Take care.